up, everybody? Coach Ben podcast here with Jim. What's up, Jim?
Man, so here we are. We're still in the COVID era, but we're starting to see the other side, and events are starting to break through. And one of the events is the Fight to Win promotion.
Yep.
Who works with Who's Number One, all those other sub promotions with them.
ADCC.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that little promotion. But the mastermind, the guy running the actual production and really spearheading it, him and his crew, Seth Daniels.
Yep.
We got to speak with him. And what are some things you got to talk about, Ben?
Yeah. So, by the way, if anybody hears my kids' class going on, it's we talked to Seth for quite a long time, and it was like over an hour at least. So, yeah, we talked a lot about just Fight to Win. There were certain things that he talked about on our podcast I don't think he's ever talked about in other podcasts. You know, we talked about let's go in reverse here. So we talked about like getting sports betting onto grappling, which I think personally is one of the things that's going to lead jiu-jitsu to the next level. You know, it's if you really want to be a spectator sport, you got to implement some gambling. You know, it just is what it is. It's just that's the truth. You know, name any major sport that doesn't have a gambling component. You know, just anything, the Olympics, the professional basketball, football, you know, anything, soccer, tennis, everything has a sports betting component, and that's what elevates sports to the next level. Yeah, maybe some people aren't big fans of that, but I am. You know, I think it's a legitimate way to advance a sport.
It is part of sports culture, period.
It's
whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
right?
Anybody that hasn't isn't a fan or doesn't understand it, go to Thailand. You know, go to Thailand and go to a Thai fight. You know, it's more about the betting and the gambling than it is about the fight. So anyway, that was one of the topics. We talked about his future events. We talked about what else?
The different formats.
Different formats. We finally got to the rule set of Fight to Win. You know, so if you ever want to know the actual rule set, Seth explains it in this podcast. You know, I didn't know the rule set. I thought there was no rules. You know, I thought it was just sub only or the ref gives it to you. But there's actually kind of a
method to
scoring
the
system. Yeah, you know, I called it a rule set, but really it's the scoring system for the judging, right? So yeah, it's important to know this because if you compete or if you watch the show and you don't understand the rule, the scoring system, then you could lose, right? So it's just educational. What else did we talk about, Jim?
We talked about his mindset and some of the obstacles that he's faced.
Yeah, some business stuff.
Yeah, and how, you know, the pool of athletes is a bit more select now because of, you know, the traveling bans and all that. But, you know, without further ado, let's go ahead and go into the episode with Seth Daniels from Fight to Win.
Dana White of grappling.
Yeah, I think he went. Well, he's aspiring to be the Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon, sorry.
Vince McMahon, yeah. He still has his hair. All right. Without further ado, here we go.
What's up, everybody? We have Seth Daniels, the owner and founder of Fight to Win, here with us, along with Jim from Jiu-Jitsu Magazine. What's up, Jim? What's up, Seth?
Hey, Ben, it's good to be here. We have event and promoter extraordinaire Seth Daniels here joining us, taking the time out of his busy schedule. By the way, Seth, where are you these days? Are you in Colorado or are you in Texas?
Yeah, I'm at home, so I'm only gone Thursday and Friday, and then I come home. I got 3 kids, so Missy's the only one that stays in Texas. All the rest of us fly out and fly back. And miraculously, knock on wood, we've taken 30 flights and none of us have gotten COVID. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was just out at your last event in Dallas. You know, I thought it was a very good event. It was very smooth, good show. How are things in Texas? I know that's where the Fight to Win shows are going to be.
Well, everything was going really well until the protests and the riots. And now some of the cities are changing their opening plans and going backwards, which sucks. You know, but so yeah, so I mean, like, Dallas is cool. It was interesting because our venue is on Lamar Street, which is where all the riots were and the protests. So it was literally happening during the show. When Gabby Garcia fought, she couldn't even get to the venue. Like she had to like get out of her Uber and like walk and like find a way because all the streets were closed and shit was burning on the streets. Our venue's like right on Lamar at like 1135, and then at like 1200 block is the police station, and then across from Lamar is where that cop walked in to the wrong apartment and shot the dude 2 years ago. And so
I remember that.
that's like literally, it was like the mecca of the riots in Dallas. But we didn't really have any issues, you know. I mean, it was just, you know, I mean, the entire situation obviously is unfortunate, you know, from, you know, top down. You know, definitely the country didn't need it.
Yeah. I mean, I when I was in Texas, Dallas, I just thought it was a lot more like, you know, people had freedom to kind of choose what they wanted to do, right? You can wear the mask, you don't have to wear the mask. You know, it was here. We have a little less of that. You know, it's pretty strict here. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, it kind of depends like where you're at. Like I'm saying, I mean, every city's different in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, so we're in Dallas, and, you know, the reason I picked Dallas is because I have a really good relationship with the venue there. And my sister lives there, and we have a friend that lives there that lets us all stay there for free. So it's like I literally save, you know, $1,200 a week on hotels. So that was like a huge impact on it. And then I just saw when I decided to go start somewhere, we ended the tour in Dallas. That was when we got shut down. So I figured we'd start there. And then I thought we'd be back on the road. I thought we'd do like one, maybe two shows in Dallas, and we'd be hopping, you know, Austin, Arizona, whatever. And then like, I just saw like when California, like so slow to get things going. Like I'm still getting messages from my venues in Cali that are like, yeah, we can get in. You just can only have 10 people. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? Like, you know what I mean? Like I could do an event with 10 people, but like, why would I want to do an event with 10 people when I can have hundreds in Dallas? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's so much more work to keep the numbers down. Like the way you have.
Is there still restrictions right now? Can you, no, in Dallas, can you, is there like a,
I can sell up to 50% capacity of my venue, but I've chosen to keep it to about 25%.
Yeah,
So-
it was pretty good. It was pretty, you know, spaced out.
That's not the normal venue we use in Dallas. There's another hall in that venue that's like 10 times the size. And I could move over there if I wanted to, but then it would be like I'd be selling like, you know, 20% of the venue versus like packing out a smaller one. Because people aren't trying to buy tickets right now. That's the other thing. Like the shows, even with the ability to sell, are only selling about 10% of what they did prior to COVID. So I think that's going to be, it's going to be a long uphill battle for event promoters all over the country. Because it's like, even if you have tickets for sale, even if they're cheap, people aren't wanting to spend money on events or going out, and they've gotten used to sitting at home. Yeah. So as much as they say they want to go out, they might go out to a bar or something like that, you know, but like, I still think it's the majority of the people are just like accustomed to staying home. So, I mean, luckily we have that great relationship with Flow Grappling. So, you know, it still works for me either way. As long as they're watching, either way, they're watching on Flow or they're watching live, I could care less, you know?
So if people wanted to support you, you know, but they can't go to the venue, they can't buy a ticket, what's the best way? They just, you know, watch on Flow, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the best way you can do for everybody, you know? You know, watching it on Flow and, you know, supporting, because that's what's paying for the whole thing. So it's like, you know, people hate on them as much as they want, you know, because there's paywalls and shit, but it's like, how do you think I'm paying for all this?
I think they're bringing, you know, they're like, bringing in the sport.
You think I'm just like losing $20,000 a week? Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? It's like we renegotiated our contract and we were working together and sacrificing a lot financially on both ends of things and doing what we have to do to keep things going, you know? So yeah, I mean, either come to the show or get a membership. And I mean, if you do jiu-jitsu, you should have a membership anyways. I mean, they have all the content. They have Fight to Win, they have ADCC, they have a bunch of other crappy professional shows, and then they have you know, IBJJF if they ever come back, and World Pro, and you know, all the events that matter are on there anyway. So it's like, You know, you're willing to spend $149 a week on getting, you know, ounces of weed and edibles, but you're going to bitch about $149 a year for a membership to the subscription service that literally runs all of jiu-jitsu. So I go off on this for days. I argue with people about this all the time, but
Jim didn't want me to talk about this, but I'm gonna have to go a little bit into this. Do you know why there is somewhat of a pushback against Flow? Because I think it's a good service, and I think it's benefiting jiu-jitsu.
Because the world is entitled and people think they deserve everything for free. So it's like there was a pushback on iTunes when that opened too, because Napster was free, you know, and a lot of the people doing jiu-jitsu now, I think the ones that bitch about it are newer to the sport and weren't around before them and don't know how hard it was to get content. Like Budo videos that long and have them send you a DVD and it looked like crap. Like they didn't know what they were doing. You know what I mean? It's like the Flow completely changed the entire game when it comes to this. And I was one of the
I
first
remember pay-per-views. I remember pay-per-view streams.
Bro, I used to do pay-per-views. I did pay-per-views on my first 3 shows. I think the most pay-per-views I ever got was Fight to Win 3 with Lovato, and we got 188 people bought that. Now, compare that to the viewership of what we're getting now, which I can't say exactly what it is, but let's just say it's like 1,000 times more than that. So it's
and
like,
you're putting on pay-per-view type cards too, so it's like you're paying $25.
Pay-per-view model dead. The pay-per-view model's dead. Even the UFC's not on the paper. I mean, they kind of are, but they're still on ESPN Plus, which is a streaming service. That's the direction everybody's going. Nobody's doing that. Like, look at DAZN. Are they still in business? Like, you know what I mean? Like that. It's just the way it is, you know. And it's just, I think people like to bitch about stuff, and it's something that people like to gang up on and complain and say that they have a monopoly over the sport and all that. But it's like, do they really have a monopoly, or do they just buy the content for all the best events? You could still watch all the shitty shows you want on their YouTube channel, on their Facebook page, and on their stream, but they bought all the good events. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
I think people are scared to say that.
Oh, and people are they like to bitch and complain about stuff, you know? And it's just like, dude, like, just look at the fucking catalog that they have. Look at the backlog of events. Like, you can have all your matches. If you've ever competed at IBJJ for Fight to Win, all your stuff is online. Now, one of the complaints that people say is like, oh, I, you know, that's my match. I should be able to get it for free. You know what I mean? But it's like the LeBron James doesn't get to post his games online. You know what I mean? TNT owns the right to that stuff. Can he post highlights and clips? Yeah, but you don't own that stuff just because you compete in something.
Yeah, it's weird that people want to be treated.
People in
like
general
pros.
just like to bitch and complain about stuff, and it's an easy thing to bitch and complain about. But you can see when the people are bitching and complaining, you can tell, like, all right, whatever, you fucking blue belt, white belt, you know what I mean? Like, you've never paid your dues, you don't even know what it is. They're probably the same people that go into the gym and want a discount and then leave on the way home and get 4 beers at the bar. So, you know, if they're gonna complain, fuck them. You know what I mean? We don't need them anyways.
I think it's a lot of like envy and some just entitlement.
Well, definitely from other promoters that aren't on Flow, you're going to get that a lot. And what that comes from is them trying to get a deal and Flow telling them to kick rocks because they usually it's because they have zero business plan. Like Substarts, they came at Flow and wanted $400,000. I'm not kidding, for that one event. That's what they asked for. $400,000. Okay,
Jesus
that is
Christ.
infinitely more than we get for ADCC, right? So it's like if you're an idiot and that's like if I'm trying to sell a box of a cereal at my local grocery store, I'm not going to go into it and be like, hey, I got this brand new box of cereal and I'd like to price it 100 times more than the name brand one right over here. Like, why don't you want to cover it? Oh, you don't want to pay it? Well, fuck you then. You guys are cheap. Like, that's just how people are, you know? It's like when you see people bitch and complain about fights and stuff, and they'd be like, oh, one of the main things I get from people is when they don't want to do a fight, they overprice themselves. And I'm talking about some of the top guys in the world. Would be like, I'll offer him someone like Gordon Ryan, and they'll be like, oh, I'll do that for $20,000. And you're like, all right, I'm not going to pay you $20,000 to go lose to Gordon. And then they're like, oh, they're cheap. It's like, no, man, I'm not fucking cheap. You just fucking overpriced yourself so you could say you didn't turn down the fight. That's what Dylan Dennis did to me when I booked him with Gordon. That's why I've had issues with him for so long. That's the type of weak shit people do,
Right. Seth, you mentioned ADCC. Can you give us any news about it as far as the planning of it is going?
It's going to be in Las Vegas, September 24th through 27th, I think, maybe 25th through 27th or 24th through 26th. I don't know I don't have a calendar in front of me.
So the general time frame has not changed in spite of everything that's been happened. It's still
no, we're doing it. I mean, worst case scenario, I don't even know what the worst case scenario is because we're hosting trials, right? We have contingency plans if some of the trials get canceled, okay, which will just be more invites. So, I mean, it's literally that simple.
So in the production, you've always kind of angled yourself as the biggest party in grappling, right? Mm-hmm. So how is all of this affected the actual production value, and how do you think this is going to change the landscape of how future events get promoted?
For what I'm doing now, for ADCC.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, I guess generally, but I guess more specifically, the fight to win model.
When we go to Austin, we're at full scale production. The only reason that we're not at full scale production right now is because the size of the room. So we're using as much as we can, but there's limitations with rigging in the venue that we're at and with power and existing stuff that we're using. So we're just optimizing the stuff that makes the most effects. And then, but when we go to Austin in a couple of weeks, like it'll look just like a regular fight to win. It's just, there's less people there. That's the only difference. There's less people, and I'm allowing more people to come and fight from all over the country because the locals aren't selling tickets. So what do I give a shit about, really focusing on getting locals on there to fill the crowd up? I'm just trying to focus on getting the best people available.
Right. So right now, if you wanted to compete on your next card is already set, right? It's the Hulk and Lovato this Friday.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so far behind. It's like when we first started coming back, I had so much energy because I sat around doing nothing for like 2 months. And then whenever you sit around doing nothing for that long, it's hard to get back in the groove, And so it's been a bit of a challenge just to like get back into things. And then once stuff started opening up with the kids, it's like my kids at practice, we have football, we have different type of Carter's got at least two days every day. So he's either got like a 7 a.m. training session and then 7 p.m. he's got football, or he's got, I don't even know, dude, he does so much shit. So it's like every morning we're up at 7, every morning we're going somewhere, coming home, get the other kid. Like, so it's just been, adapting and trying to stay up as much as I can. But, because ticket sales aren't that important right now, it's like, I can do fight cards a week out and not, go bankrupt. So another reason I'm grateful for my relationship with Flo, because they understand that too, and because I'm banging out one show a week, they can't really promote the next show until this one's over anyways. So it's kind of one of those things of how it's just worked out,
So you got the next one in Dallas, and then you have another one in Dallas the next week?
Yeah, and then we're taking the 4th of July off, and then we're going to Austin.
Okay, and I'm seeing that you have like 4 shows in Austin too.
Mm-hmm.
So people that want to sign up, they just apply through the website, right?
They apply through the website, and then like if they buy their own plane ticket, like they're guaranteed a match. Like that's why I've been doing that. That's why we have so many people flying in from all over the country, because it's like, dude, if you're willing to go out there and fight, pay for your travel, and you're not getting paid anything, like of course I'm going to give you an opportunity, right? Like how could I not? We are able to pay ticket commissions now. I didn't get back into doing set pricing for the undercard for wins and decisions and submissions like we had in the past, because I didn't know what the ticket sales situation was going to look like. And I was really nervous getting back into it that what happened was going to happen, that fighters are going to be selling a lot less than they used to. And I was right. So, I mean, we've increased the ticket sales percentage to 50% for these guys. So it's like, if you sell a couple tables, like you're walking away with, $1,000 in your pocket, so it's like, now the under, like last week, I mean, it's not a lot, right? It's nothing compared to what it used to be, but like the undercard made $2,000 last week. And then the top of the card, most of the people are fighting for a little bit less than what we paid them in the past, but we're being really fair, as fair as we possibly can with every single person.
Can I ask you something real quick
Everybody
about
taking it.
Can I ask you real quick about, like, I know you for sure pay the headliner and the co-main event and people like that. What about, like, say, I noticed you have a lot of like black belts that are like maybe local guys that are like masters division. Do you pay them too, or do they?
Usually I do. Usually they get 20% of their ticket sales, and then they get a win bonus by decision, and then another bonus if they win by submission, and then their fight to win record increases their pay by 10% every single time. But given the situation of how it is right now, last weekend we sold 72 tickets. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? I can't guarantee shit with 72 tickets. You know what I mean? I'm used to selling 1,500 in Dallas. So I can't put a guaranteed amount out there. So that's what I'm saying. What we did was I just doubled the ticket commission. So last week was 40%. It's going to change week by week depending on the cost of the card. But this week it's 50% of their ticket sales. So if they choose to sell tickets, then yeah, they can make money. And then if they choose not to, then they're pretty much just competing for free, which is still less than it costs to compete for IBJJF. So. Yeah,
I have certain students that I want them to be on the show and compete for free because it builds their brand, their name. And, how else are you really going to build your name without these types of, events? So,
well, I honestly don't see it changing, to be honest with you. I don't think we'll be going back to paying the undercard anytime soon, other than ticket commissions, because until people are buying at the rate that they were before, like, there's no money. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not making anything doing these shows. Like, my goal every month is to be 0 in the black, because I was losing 20 grand a month in the red during quarantine. So it's like, dude, if I can just break even with my monthly expenses and our bills and all that stuff, dude, like, every other penny is going into the purses and the fighters trying to make these fights as big as possible. But the people at the end of the card are all getting paid. They're just not getting what they used to, but they're still getting paid way more money now than they were 5 years ago before we started doing this. So it's like,
right.
And that's one of the other things is I get people like, oh, I'm not fighting for free. Fight the one's not paying their fighters. It's like, motherfucker, we pay people like $4 million in the past 3 years. I've paid more money to fighters than all other organizations, including the Russians combined. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you know what? Like, I'm doing what I can to survive, and the people that are going to bitch and complain, I just won't use. And they go fuck off and fight for free in some bullshit show in a gym,
So,
yeah,
so
well,
with that,
go ahead, Jim.
So with that, Seth, has there been any? Have you felt any additional obstacles in trying to get people to compete and to participate in the events? Has there?
Well, yeah. I mean, my biggest challenge is that people from Brazil can't come back to America. So some of my biggest stars are in Kainen's in Brazil, Muhammad Ali's in Brazil, Isaac's in Brazil. Like, a lot of guys that I use a lot can't get to America right now, which sucks. Other than that, a few guys from some of the bigger teams kind of hide behind I don't have any training partners, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And just like, they're just being bitches. Like, nobody has, you got to make the best out of what you have, And so it's like, if the only thing you have is like I saw Leticia Ribeiro during this lockdown was doing like a ton of stuff with that Bulgarian bag. Right. And then I see other people's workouts and stuff that they're doing at Fight Sports and their quarantine camp and all that stuff. It's like, you just make the best out of what you can, But like, if you're waiting for everything to be perfect again before you go out there, like, fuck off, because it's never going to be perfect again. And by the time you're ready to come back, everyone's going to have forgotten about you.
Right.
So that's just kind of how it is. Like, you got to stay
Is,
especially, like, think about it. Like, if you're one of the top guys, right? Say you're Gordon Ryan, right? Or Nicky Rod, right? You think Nicky Rod is going to be able to hold on to all of his sponsors if he doesn't start competing? No. You know, these guys, you have to compete. If you don't compete, these sponsors are just wasting money, and you're screwing them over. So because you want to hold someone out over a couple $1,000, like, you're probably going to wind up losing tenfold that over the course of the rest of the year, you know? So I think people just they got to drop their ego a little bit, take a little bit less money. And most people are doing that. Like, you know, I'd say of the 180 people I consider all-stars in the world, that are currently, you know, competing, I'd say at least half of them, I'd say 90% of them in the United States are trying to compete right now. And then the other half of them are fucking stuck in Brazil. So, you know, I know BJJ Stars is supposed to do a show, and that'll be huge if they can actually do it, which I don't think they will. But they're supposed to do it in July, I believe, which I don't think there's any way in hell it's going to happen, because Brazil's like getting to be as bad as America when it comes to the COVID stuff. But you know, hopefully they can pull it off, because that would be a massive card for Marigali and Felipe Pena and all those guys stuck over there that can't make a dollar right now. You know?
So anyone who's been keeping up with the Fight to Win shows, you've been featuring in the more recent ones, you've been featuring some old school judo matches. Has that been talked about? Would you plan on continuing that, or has it been affected by the access to a lot of the competitors?
I haven't been getting like barely any judo applications. I think jiu-jitsu people are a lot more, I don't know which one it is, conservative or liberal. I don't know. The jiu-jitsu people are a lot more about pushing the envelope and getting out there and training again. Whereas opposed to, I think more judo people are err on the side of caution. So
yeah, judo schools are completely stopped.
Yeah, I think maybe East Side and Dallas has maybe got going again. You know, Kim Mesa, I don't think Curry's open. So I mean, the thing you gotta understand too is, like, I don't know if it's worth the risk for judo schools to open, because like they don't make any money. Like,
yeah, they're not businesses.
There's no money in judo. Like, they charge like $50 a month. I don't know of a school other than like maybe Fuji that has more than 100 students. So it's like, if they got, you know, loan forbearance or something like that, you know, like there's really, I just can't imagine it'd be worth the risk for a school with 40 students to open. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
use your $1,000 a month. Like, you know what I mean? Wait till it's everyone's healed up, you know. But no, I haven't had barely any judo interest at all, which is crazy. I know because Dallas is my biggest judo market in the United States.
I know you have. I want you to explain the Fight to Win rules for everybody, because I recently learned them, and I consider them to be very fair. Is the judo rules also different, or
yeah,
are they?
I made those up.
Made them up?
Yeah, I got really high on edibles and just like made up judo.
And you call them the old school rules.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they're not really. I mean,
can you give us both of them?
Yeah.
So everybody can hear them.
No-gi, everything's legal. That's the rule set. In gi, you can't heel hook and you can't reap. You can't grab the inside of the sleeves.
Let me clarify. I'm more interested in the scoring system.
Oh, the scoring system. Okay. Well, judo is way different, but in jiu-jitsu, in no-gi and gi, basically there is no scoring system. It's submission only. However, I created a scoring sheet for the referees to try to keep track, because it's not as bad when there's 25 matches, but when there's 40 matches, your mind kind of wanders when you're judging. I know, because it happens to me when I'm out there. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you can like be watching a match and totally just forget about which match you're watching or what happened at the beginning of the match versus the end of the match, you know? So basically I tell them 5 points if you so say I'm fighting you and you throw an arm bar and it's super tight and it takes me a minute and I get out of it, that'll be 5 points, right? But if you threw up an arm bar and it was kind of weak, but it was a good enough of an attack to where you'd be like, that was an attack, that's 1 point. And then if you slam somebody, it's 1.2. And that's just because I think slams are awesome. So that's it. That's basically what it is. But also, like, I tell them, like, all right, if you have a score and it's like one guy, you know, has 5 and you have the other guy that has 4 points, but the other guy completely dominated the match, you're not stuck on that scoring system that you have to give it to that guy. You can still make a judgment call on who you think won the fight, right? It's just a basic guideline for them to keep track.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think, you know, I had one of your referees come over and explain to me. One of my fighters lost by split, and he just came right over, explained everything. It was very coherent. I didn't have any. It was Brienne, and she faced Emily. Yes.
That was so close. That could have gone either way.
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, the ref came over and talked to me about it. Even the Emily, the girl that won's coach, explained, because I guess she had a lot of experience, and they explained it to me in a coherent way. And I just said, you know, I agree. There's nothing to say. You know, there was
that could have gone. That match could have gone to Bree though too. Like that match could have gone either way. So I mean,
yeah, there was like a calf slicer that I think should have been scored a little bit, but it doesn't matter.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's some of those matches where it's just like either nothing happens, or in that match in particular, so much happens.
Yeah. Like how you said you could forget something in the beginning. It's that would be the match to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's just like, you know, I've ref matches where was it Ari and AJ, where it was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, I was like, the whole time I was so stressed out while I was up there. I was like, I have no fucking clue who I'm going to give this match to. I didn't even know who I was going to give the match to until I rose my flag. I had not made the decision. I was seriously just like, I remember after that match, I sat down for a little bit and just kind of like rehearsed everything in my mind. And I was like, I'm giving it to AJ because the last 3 minutes, he was pushing the pace and Ari was backing away the whole time. And that's why I give it to AJ.
So you were the ref, right?
Yeah, I was the main ref. I only main ref matches where I feel like the people need help staying on the stage because I'm really good at that. And so it's just like one of those things where if I see a match is like getting a little too wild, or like if Nicky Rod competes, I'll make sure I'm reffing on that, because if someone wrestles with him, he could give a shit if he throws people 10 feet off the stage. And so there's a lot of guys like that. And like Ronaldo Jr. is the same way. You know, so it's just like, I'm conscious of who's competing and their styles, you know, and their respect level for their opponent is a big part of it. You know, like Ari and AJ, I knew something bad was going to happen. Because they were like trying to fight before the match even happened, and then like we got thrown off the stage in the first 5 seconds. So it was just like I saw it happening, you know. And I don't mind sacrificing my body. My body's old and broken anyway. So what do I do?
And you know what? And a big shout out to that on that note, because you have to be one of the most hands-on promoters in the history of jiu-jitsu events. You put them together, you announce. And I don't know if you DJ at times, some of those events. You are the DJ. You're a referee for the, you know, some of the more, I guess, aggressive style matches. Yeah. And you're a competitor as well. On the judo side, you competed on the judo side of this and on the jiu-jitsu side of this. Yeah. And hands down, I think you'd have to be the most active promoter in the history of the sport.
I'm the only one that's a real athlete. No offense to Holes, but I mean, he's been retired for ever.
Right. A lot of these guys are retired. I mean, even Eddie, you know, he competed at ADCC. I mean, they're just retired, and the fact is they don't do all of those aspects in their own events. I mean,
well, yeah, but everybody's got a different style, you know. I mean, like most promoters you're going to find are going to be suit wearing douchebags who like put some money into a show and are probably losing all their money. and they're wandering around and they're doing it because they're thirsty and they want people to think they're cool and they're trying to buy friends with grapplers. That's what I found with most of the promoters out there. I started promoting because I got fucked over by a promoter in an MMA fight, and the tournaments in Colorado were fucking atrocious 15 years ago or 12 years ago whenever I started this. And so that's why I started promoting, because I just wanted to treat people fairly. And then I DJ and I announce and I do the video stuff because that's the job. It's like 3 different people's job, and it's not that fucking hard. Like, I think announcers are whack as fuck. It's like, no offense to Jeff Houston, he's cool, but like motherfuckers out there like with their suits and their fucking bullshit and just saying people's names louder, you know, it's just like, you're not fucking Bruce Buffer. Just shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a shit about the announcer. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't go up there and announce, because nobody cares. You care about Bruce Buffer because he's fucking awesome, but you're not Bruce Buffer. You're not Michael Buffer. There's 2 people that people care about. That's it. End of story, right? So if you're not those people, then what's the point, you know?
I like Joe Martinez a little bit.
No, Joe Martinez
right.
is cool too, but like, as a fan, you've been to the UFC, right?
Yeah.
And Bruce Buffer's up there, and it's time, and the whole fucking place goes madness. He earned that shit, right? He earned that.
Yep.
Everybody else is just trying to be him, and I just don't see the value in the announcer and value in a DJ. Like, dude, I call myself DJ iTunes. Like, everyone's like, dude, you're such a good DJ. I'm like, dude, I'm just pressing play, you know? And then like the video stuff, it's just, to me, it's all one. That's one job.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, the video stuff. Every fighter comes out to their own intro and their own song, and you also have like some graphics going on. Is that, I mean, you definitely put in like special effort on the main event people, right?
I put in effort on all of them. I put on effort on the first fight and the last fight. So basically, the way I do it is like, blue corner is the first one that comes out, and those colors have to be neutral. They have to be cool, right? So like greens, blues, purples, grays. That's my first walkout. And then the second one has got to be hot colors. So reds, yellow, oranges, whites, stuff like that. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm listening to the music, and I'm finding videos that match the tone of the music. And then Evan cues off my video and matches the lighting to my video to the drum beats. So that's why it looks like a concert, because Evan is a fucking genius, like a retard savant, and like he basically he knows. It's so crazy. It's like he's run so many concerts. I mean, the kid's probably done like 10,000 concerts, that like he has such a good ear for music. He can always tell like when the drums are gonna hit, you know, which is how you know, it's like when you're in the car and you're banging on the steering wheel or whatever. You know, people that don't know music are bang on the steering wheel to the guitar or the vocals. But if you know music at all, everything's based on the drum count, right? And that's how lights are too. Lights are based on the drum count. Videos based on the drum count. Everything's on this. So we try to work together on it, but I do it pre-show and Evan does everything live. I'm not talented like he is when it comes to production and the what he does, the lighting stuff. That's, you know, that's way.
It's like that SNL skit that drop the bass button.
Yeah.
So
No, but no, it's literally how it is, man. It's just like, and to me, it's fun. And like when me and him like hit something, and it's like it's badass. Like we have like 10 songs that we're really good at, and when like somebody walks out to them, it's like fuck yeah, because like we've done it so many times, and we have like a preset video and a preset lighting that goes with it, and we crush it, you know. And then sometimes it's just like when people walk out, I mean, no offense, but like when people walk out to like the Portuguese Jesus songs, it's like, what am I supposed to do with that shit? You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. I let people walk out to whatever they want to walk out to, right? You want to walk out to cuss words. You want to walk out and put Black Lives Matter on the screen. You want, you know, ramen noodles being dripped all over you. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, it's your fight. It's your walkout. It's your song, you know, but like sometimes it's like it fucking kills me, man.
And that's super cool.
I have to do every song too. I have to go through every fucking song and find what the exact part is that's going to be 5 seconds before the drop to get him in. So it's like I got to go through, 60 plus songs, 70 plus songs every single show and know the exact moment that I need to have them queued up so that they're not already on the mat before the fucking beat drops.
You know what it reminds me of? It's super cool when you're there because you get to see like the smoke and the lights and stuff.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the WWE.
I wish.
It gives you,
Fuck,
it
man,
gives
that's like the best
people.
compliment in the entire world. They're my heroes, man. Like everybody's always like, "Oh, you guys are the fucking UFC of grappling," and I'm like, "Fuck the UFC, man. I'm trying to be like Vince McMahon. Like I'm trying to, you know what I mean? Like that's the hero. That's the dude that goes. I ain't never seen Dana White go out there and fight. I seen Vince McMahon drop some motherfuckers through tables. Vince puts the best show in the world out there. He's got the best production in the. I mean, it's not even maybe." Muse, the band, maybe Rammstein and Muse maybe can hang with them production wise, but other than those two bands, I don't think anybody in the world is at the level of WWE.
Yeah, I only said that because they have
goal.
great.
Yeah, I mean, we've always reinvested our money, bought new stuff, bought better stuff, trying to increase our product. I mean, obviously until this, now we're just trying to survive. We're fucking fighting and scraping for dollars right now. But before this, we were always reinvesting, And so now it's just a matter of, now it's just a matter of trying to put together the best show we can with what we have.
Yeah, I said that because I just think that, people that compete on your shows, they want to get paid or what other tournament, you can't go to like IBJJF and get that treatment. You have a highlight reel of your match. You're on Flow Grappling. You have a walkout. You have your own song. Like I competed MMA once, but it was smoker type stuff. If I've never had the opportunity to walk out to something like that, and that reminds me of WWE because I've always wanted that, and so that's kind of
funny.
It's a cool
so
thing.
Funny you said that because Troy, that used to work for me, the one they called the Night Pigeon, he worked for me for like 10 years, and so I knew Troy when he was like 19 years old, I think, maybe 20, and like I remember him saying to me, he was like, "Man, like I want to go out there and perform so my friends and family can see what I'm doing, but like I guess I have to do MMA, so I guess I'll do it once." And like I hated fighting MMA. It fucking hurts. I don't care what anybody says. You get punched in the nose, that shit is painful, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like everything about MMA hurts, right? It's like punching someone hurts your hands, kicking someone hurts your legs, kneeing someone hurts your fucking knee. Like the cage hurts your back. I respect those guys a ton. Like I did it like 10 times and I could never ever do it again. And I feel like what I've created is like a place for pussies like me that don't want to fucking get punched in the face. And it's like, we still want to go out there and perform. We still want the lights and the video to showcase our ability and what we do. But like, fuck that shit, dude.
I consider Fight to Win like a super fight show, right? What do you think about the tournament format? Do you ever want to run something like that?
You mean like
ADCC, like a tournament? Yeah, kind of like that. Do you ever see Fight to Win doing like a tournament?
We do open tournaments in Colorado, and prior to me starting Fight to Win, what we considered Fight to Win Pro back then in 2015, I was doing about 20 tournaments around the country every year. I did them in Jersey, I did them in Florida, I did them in Atlanta, mainly Colorado and Texas, Wyoming, New Mexico, California, but tournaments are a dime a dozen.
So, yeah, I'm more talking about
no. What I'm saying,
ADI.
No, I'll never do that. So I don't want to do. Okay, like my opinion about the Grand Prix and stuff, like what Third Coast is doing, like that was my idea. I told it to him. I was like, this is what I think I'm gonna wind up doing before I was able to get a new contract. So once I got my new contract, I didn't have to do that. My issue with those, nothing against what he's doing right now. Those tournaments that he's putting together are pretty fucking legit, right? But only one person's getting paid, right?
Right.
And if you're Wagner Rocha, Roberto Jimenez, Ty Ruotolo, Dante Leon, you should not be competing for free. I don't care what the fucking prize is at the end of the rainbow. Like, you've paid your dues. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, but they're not making $10,000 fighting for me. So, they're good enough to go win $10,000, or like Pedro Mourinho just won $5,000 at Jits King. So, I mean, like, why not? If you have the option, to go do that, why not? But no, I mean, like I said, we do the open tournaments just 4 times a year. And then I already I work with or for the biggest tournament in the world with ADCC. So like, I wouldn't say starting something
Good point.
else. You know what I mean? It's like, if you work for the UFC, like, are you going to go and try to create a smaller, shittier version of what you already did?
Yeah, court
It's like,
RFA
there's
or
just
something.
There's
But
no,
we don't want to take up too much of your time because kind of bringing it back, you have some shows coming up. Let's talk a little bit about the shows coming up this Friday in Dallas. You have the main event of Rafael Lovato Jr. versus
Is that in the
Lucas.
gi, Seth?
Yeah,
Okay.
Lovato is only competing in the gi now. So
Wow.
yeah, well, he did. I mean, I'm sure he'll switch it up for ADCC because he'll get an invite because he's Lovato.
This is for a title, I'm guessing.
It's his title, yeah. But
Right.
when he stopped doing MMA, he really rededicated himself back to the gi. And
So is he officially retired from MMA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
undefeated.
He has a
Good
brain.
career.
He has a brain thing.
Like
I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I can't speak for him. I'm not his
Sure.
agent or anything. But from what I understand is that he's no longer fighting MMA. I mean, he gave up his title, so I don't know.
Yeah. You also have the women's title, right? Natsieli and Talita.
Yeah,
Both big.
it's Natalie and Talita. Yeah. Talita Alencar and Natalie Tata Habera. I never call her Natalie, but yeah, and Tata and Talita, that'll be insane.
Yep, and then you got Jonatas Gracie and Edwin. That should be a great match.
I don't even. I've never seen Jonatas fight before. I have no idea what to expect.
He's
because
great.
I don't watch IBJJF. Like, I don't watch jiu-jitsu. Like, I watch my show live, but I never watch jiu-jitsu like outside of it. I watch like comedies and shit like on TV. Like, I'm a huge movie nerd, and I have a million kids, so I watch like a ton of cartoons and shit. But like, I don't have time to like nerd out and watch YouTube and jiu-jitsu. So it's like, I find out about these guys once they hit those flow rankings. That's seriously how I find out about most of these guys. I've never even heard. And then
I think a lot of people will know the Padago submission fighting guys from that documentary from Flow. Yeah.
Yeah, I know those dudes. A lot of them competed for me in Nashville back like 4 years ago, and some of them have fought in Chicago for me. And like, I don't really get their whole thing, which is kind of funny, because like I'm just not white trash enough, I guess. But like, it's cool. Like, I get it. Like, it's not fucking me. Like, I ain't sleeping on no fucking gym mats. But like, I appreciate their grind and what they're doing, but I just like raised differently, I guess. I'm like, I see that shit and I'm like, just get a fucking job and get an apartment. That's like how I felt about Connor DeAngelis too. But then you meet these guys and you're like, oh, I get it.
They're just
I'm serious. You meet them like Connor and you're just like, oh, I get it. You live in your van. Like, your literal life is you don't give a fuck about girls. You don't give a fuck about money. You don't give a shit about anything else. And so it's like, it's an automatic respect thing once you beat these guys, because it's like, they literally, they're way more dedicated to jiu-jitsu than anyone I know.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Anybody that's going to live on old wrestling mats, nah, man, they're in the show. It doesn't even fucking matter. I don't even care. If you
got like 10 of these guys.
You live in your gym and you literally live on the mats, you're guaranteed a spot and fight to win, because you're more dedicated than fucking anyone. Because the girls you can pull probably on the mat at your gym, it's like, well, how do you even pitch that? Just be like, yeah, come back. I've got this 2,000 square foot place
that everyone sweats on.
Don't take all your clothes off though, because you might catch staph. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and some of these guys, it's just, to me, it's fucking crazy what their lifestyle and what they do. But like, fuck it, you know what I mean? If they're happy doing it, whatever, But yeah, I'm excited to see these guys. Their main guy is Andrew, right? That's like their main star.
Yeah, that's their big star, Andrew Wills.
He's fighting my training partner. He's fighting Isaiah, and so Andrew's got his fucking hands full. But Isaiah is also not Isaiah's in quarantine shape, so we'll see what happens.
Andrew, I think, is
for a
no-gi world
175.
champion.
Yeah, well, Isaiah, yeah, but
We'll see.
you can win as many no-gi world championships as you want until you throw heel hooks in. It's a whole different world.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? You got IBJJF guys that'll get slaughtered at ADCC, and they do. You know, world champions that win that we didn't even invite. You know, they got heel hooked at trials like in 20 seconds. So it's like once everything's legal, it really changes the game quite a bit, as you can see with the Ruotolos and with you know Ethan Crestline. I mean, even though he's lost his last 2 matches on my show, like kid's a brown belt and he's insanely good. He's right there with the top lightweights in the world, right there. And he's brown belt.
Yeah.
Because of his heel hooking. So it's like, you know, Danaher and really changed the whole game for everybody when it comes to no-gi stuff, you know. You added in that system and everything changed, you know. And then, I mean, not taking away anything from Eddie. That's where I learned like 90% of my jiu-jitsu is from 10th Planet. But, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you something about that, Seth, real quick. I've heard you say that you're a Henzo black belt.
Yeah.
And you've also trained with Amal Easton. So who awarded you your black belt?
I am a black belt technically under Amal Easton, who is a Henzo 5th degree Henzo black belt.
I see. That's okay.
Right.
That's
So
clear
I'm a
now.
Henzo Gracie black belt is my lineage, but my direct lineage is Amal Easton and then Henzo.
Yep.
I
Cool.
believe.
That clears it up.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, like Jim said, we don't want to take up too much of your time. I just have one last question for you.
Yeah.
I like to ask this to guests. So one of the themes of this podcast is we're all about continuous learning, right? Do you have any? How do you learn? How do you improve yourself? Do you have any book recommendations for people? Do you have a favorite couple books that you can tell people?
Jiu-jitsu or like life?
Just life, anything. How to become a better businessman.
No, I don't fucking read, dude. I hate that shit. I don't even like reading to my kids. Fucking, dude, I learn by failing, honestly. Like, I've never been afraid to take risks and fail and learn from my failures and figure out what works best for me. I'm doing some work on myself right now and dealing with some childhood trauma and stuff from my past. You know, with therapists and therapy and shit like that. So I've had kind of a tough upbringing. So, you know, that's some personal self-help stuff that I'm doing. But like outside of that, like, you know, like if I have the choice to sit down and read a book for 2 hours or watch something funny on TV while I'm high on edibles, like it's not much of a choice for me. Like I'm just not a fan of reading. You know, but no, I mean, like I said, I get inspiration from people, you know. Like Lovato's somebody that really inspires me. You know, his outlook on life and the way that he treats people and his martial artist mentality is really cool, you know. You know, but I mean, like, you know, I'm not one of those people, like, no offense to Tom DeBlast, but like, I'm not one of those people that's going to post like positive memes and shit like that. It's just not my bag, you know, and I'm not going to listen to Gary Vee tell me how to fucking increase my social media followers. And I just like to try shit and see what happens. And like I'm really good at cooking chicken now. And I used to be really bad at it. No, I'm serious. Yeah. I'm like really fucking good at cooking chicken. And so, but like a couple years ago, like I sucked at cooking chicken and I tried a whole bunch of different stuff. And then eventually I figured out how to cook chicken. So, I mean, that's how my life has always been. Like I used to run one of the biggest fitness companies in the world that just filed bankruptcy, pieces of shit. And
24-hour fitness.
Yeah. And I was high up with them and they let me go. And then I owned a tattoo shop. I ran a food delivery business, like prior to when all this shit was popular, you know, with, you know, like where they make meals prepared for you. Like we were one of the first people to do it. And we did, you know, like I did Shane Carwin and Brendan Schaub. Like we were doing a bunch of athletes back in the day. Did that. Man, I couldn't even count the amount of businesses I failed at, to be honest with you. You know, I was a concert promoter, an MMA promoter. Like I just kind of do whatever I feel like doing at the time and put everything I have into it. And if it fails, it fails. And if it succeeds, it succeeds. I feel like fight to win's my dare to be great situation. You know, I've been running tournaments and I've been involved in martial arts since I was 5 years old. And it's just like a perfect mixture of everything I've done in my life. But if I hadn't failed at the concert game, like I wouldn't have had any of the expertise of knowing how to use production. If I hadn't done MMA, I wouldn't know how to deal with fighters. If I hadn't run the tattoo shops, I wouldn't know how to deal with employees that are drug addicts. So, you know, it's just like everything you do in your life, as long as you learn something from it, you know, and you fix your mistakes so you don't repeat history, you know, can benefit you in the future.
Nice. That's a great practical lesson, and I think I agree with all that. You know, that's it.
Don't
You
tell
know,
my kids.
that's it.
My kids know that I don't like to read, but don't tell them they don't have to. Yeah, no, my son is my oldest is dyslexic, and we didn't realize how bad it was until he was like in 6th grade, because he'd been passing through everything, right? And it never made sense to me, because I was like, I don't understand how you can understand 1,200 football plays, but you can't figure out how to read like 6 pages, you know? And I was just like, you're just lazy. You know, I was like a dick to him. I found out he's like severely dyslexic.
Oh.
But I mean, like, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, what works for some people doesn't work for others, you know?
Yeah, this human game is pretty complex, and there's layers to it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that hat. What's that hat from?
Oh, this is the Rastafarian culture. I got it from shoot, I'll send you the link. I can't remember the name.
Cool.
Rasta Empire, rastaempire.com. There you go. Yeah, man. But anyway, Seth, June, what's the next one? June, was that 19th? You have the upcoming Dallas, and then June 26th, Gary Choden's coming back to the jiu-jitsu mats for
Gary's going to fight Cushinho, and me and Flo fought about the opponent for Gary like nonstop. I wanted Cushinho, they wanted Marcio Andre, and I was like, I love Marcio, but after Cushinho's performance against AJ, I was like, dude, that fucking guy was so gangster. But he got
This is
sick.
no gi, correct, Seth?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Cushinho's better no gi than he is gi. He's a 4-time black belt world champ. And Cushinho got staph infection prior to his match with AJ, and had it like wrapped up and all that when he competed, but he had like staph on his leg. And so like he had to take like a month off. So he was just like, I can't fight, blah, blah, blah. And he was supposed to fight Mateus Gabriel. And then we booked Marcio against Gary, and then Marcio got hurt. And his trading partner is Cushinho. So, you know, it just worked out perfectly, because they were already in camp for Gary. You know, you see what I'm saying? So now it's just like you take out one world champion and put in another, like, and I'm really excited about that matchup. It's something I've been wanting for a while, and then
I think that's the better matchup.
Yeah.
You probably were the one to say that.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about Sanji being on the show. Like,
Sanji, who's he facing?
Gabriel Almeida, just beat Roberto Jimenez from Checkmat. So obviously, you know, I don't know how old Sanji is, but I'm guessing he's close to my age, probably like almost 40, or maybe a little bit older. If not, I apologize, but I would just assume by his success and how long he's been training that he's got to
be 40. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel bad when I talk about people's ages when I don't know him, but I know Gabriel's only 28, and Gabriel's one of the best in the world right now, and Sanji's one of the greatest to ever do it. I feel like it's a perfect first matchup back for Sanji, and he's never been on my show. And me and him joke about it, that it's like I've been trying to date him for 5 years, because like I message him every time I'm matching a card. Like every time.
Sanji's 39, by the way. He's 39.
Yeah, I was close. Yeah, so like I've been messaging Sanji since Fight to Win 1. So 149 messages in his inbox from me asking him to do a show, and he finally accepted it. So it's like I courted him for 5 years, and we finally get to go on our first date, and I'm pretty excited about it, because I love those guys, man. The whole Hibero family, like you know, Salo and Sanji and Lovato and Hugo, they have, I just talked about this on Flow, they have team affiliates in Colorado, and a ton of my friends go there, like a ton of my training partners, and we all cross train. And that's kind of one of the things about with those guys is like you always get better. Like they let you do that kind of stuff, and like their guys are savages, and they're always great people, and they're fun and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to have, you know, one of the founding fathers of American jiu-jitsu, if you will, even though they're Brazilian. They were one of the biggest ones once they got to America to really get things going, and not being so, I don't want to be racist, but not being so Brazilian about it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like kind of they're, in my opinion, they're kind of like what Bruce Lee did with like Kung Fu. When Bruce Lee came over, he wanted to teach everybody. He didn't want to just keep it for just Brazilians. And I kind of feel like that's how they feel, is that like jiu-jitsu is owned by the world. It's not just owned by Brazilians, and it's they're Brazilian. So I just find, I find them very interesting, and I've done seminars with both of them, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought their association up, the Ribeiro Association, because there's just something that I've noticed too, just by like an outsider looking at their camaraderie and loyalty to each other. There's just something special there. I definitely see it. I saw it when Lovato won the Bellator championship. I saw it when Victor Hugo won your show. I mean, they were all there. It's something there.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He's insane. And it was funny because I was talking to him right before that match, and he was like, I'm ready for anyone. He's like, my cardio is getting so much better to keep up with Lovato. Because he
could be the best in the world.
I think he
Possibility.
is. I think next time there is a world championship in the gi, I wouldn't be surprised to see him and Buchecha in the finals and see him beat Buchecha.
Guy kneebarred Cyborg. It's crazy.
Yeah, Cyborg got him back though. But, Victor is also young. He's like early 20s.
Yeah.
It's scary, man. If you look at like that crop, Roberto Jimenez, the Ruotolos, Nicky Ryan, like Victor Hugo, Janata, like it's going to be scary, man. Like all the guys
when's Shanji? Is he next week?
Yeah.
He's next week. Yeah. So for
all three of them will be fighting in Austin too. So the way that we're pretty much doing it with them is we go week after week. That's how they like doing it and then like a week off. So it'd probably be like, I think Lovato, it'll be Hugo will start, and then Lovato, and then Sanji, and we'll just keep rotating them that way.
Is it all on Fridays from here on out? Are they all going to be on Fridays?
From here on out. Mainly the reason I'm doing Fridays is because it seems like Dana had the same idea I did about just getting one location and keep running shows nonstop.
Doesn't conflict with the UFC.
No, it doesn't conflict with UFC, and that's like, it's a big deal. Like, these people want to say, oh, they're not the same. Like, they're the fucking same. It's the same crowd. People that watch my shows are the same people that watch the UFC. Now, people that watch the UFC might not necessarily watch my shows, but you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of crossover.
There's a lot of crossover. So
I would usually have two screens when you had the Saturday shows.
Yeah, so that's the first reason. The second reason is my son starts football here pretty soon, and this is his last season in middle school, which would be played on Saturdays, which is huge for me because, like, there's nothing I like more than the world than watching my son destroy kids in football. And they're playing like elite level football. Like, his team's national champions, and they're playing like people from all over the country coming to play this team. And we go all over the country. So it's like, I don't want to miss any games. Next year he goes in. Next year, all of our shows will all be on Saturday because we'll be playing in high school on Friday nights. So I mean, if he's not starting varsity his freshman year, I'll probably just disown him. And then after 10 years of training, but no, I'm joking, by the way. But
I take it he plays both sides of the ball real quick. Well, where's he playing on?
Linebacker and running back. He was
inside,
a quarterback
outside?
for a really long time. Inside, outside, it doesn't make a difference.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the slate. He's going to play spy in high school. That's what they say. So he's not big enough yet for linebacker. He's like 5'10" and 145 pounds, but he's only 13. So the goal is he gets to 6'3", 6'4", like my dad, and 240, 250. That's the goal. Because then he can play inside linebacker, outside linebacker in the NFL. But anyways, and then the other thing is that obviously once we started doing shows, Third Coast started doing shows, other companies on Flow started doing shows, and they're all doing them Saturdays. And I don't want to go head to head with, even though I dislike them immensely, I'm not going to go head to head with somebody that impacts the network that backs me. So, you know, they need Saturday. Saturday's a better day to do events. Obviously, it's easier to sell tickets on Saturday. More people watch on Saturday, but they're weak as shit. So they need that day in order to promote their events, and I don't need it. I could do shows on Tuesday and still pull better numbers than they do on Saturday. So, you know, we'll do Fridays, and, you know, I'm totally fine with it. I know that Fight Pass does their shows on Sundays. There's just really no reason to split up the viewing community right now with such little events. You know what I mean? But, and plus the UFC shows have been bangers. Like,
Yeah.
Nick has been putting on some good fight cards. You know, so it's like,
yeah, you don't want to compete with that.
I don't even like MMA, but I've been like watching them nonstop because like my teammates have been fighting. Like Justin, you know, won the title. That was amazing, and my boy Drew won, and Neil won, and it's just been fun, you know, to like see the homies on TV every Saturday. You know, last weekend Jessica she lost to another girl. It's a fight to win bet. So like 2 fight to win bets fought in the main event. So it's like it's been really fun, like to actually have time to watch some fights because I never have had time.
That's the next big goal, I think, for grappling, because I'm a pretty big sports bettor. I want to see grappling, jiu-jitsu on.
I'm trying so hard, man. So there's issues with that. So here's the issues with gambling and grappling, because I tried working with BetUs, I tried working with MyBookie and BetDSI, and the issues I have is that a lot of states I do events in, it's illegal. Gambling's illegal. And there's some fucking statute that my lawyer says prevents me from doing them in like 9 of the states that I do it in.
Jeez.
And those contracts, here's the crazy shit. Like MyBookie, their contract is so fucked up that basically you can't pay the fighter, right? So you can't pay the fighter off of gambling. It's illegal, right? So if you fight Jim on the show, right, and they're going to promote your fight, MyBookie requires you to post 3 times whatever their thing is promoting the gambling, right?
Wow.
But you get nothing out of it. So I have a problem. I don't mind doing it. If MyBookie's paying me to put a fight on, because I don't give a shit.
But the fighters have to do it themselves.
The fighters have to do it themselves.
Why is that special for grappling? Because the UFC doesn't have that.
I don't know. UFC's 1,000 times bigger than I am. But
Yeah.
UFC also has no involvement in the betting.
Yeah, because they have Submission Underground on the betting
Right.
sites. I see
Not
that.
anymore.
Not anymore?
And, yeah, but I mean, I don't believe they're on there anymore. But yeah, I mean, the gambling thing would be huge, and it's something that I've been trying to procure forever, man. It's just like my lawyer tends to err on the side of caution because I tend to not do that. And so he's like, unless it's like crazy amount of money, he doesn't want me involved in the gambling
I
portion.
feel like that's the next step as far as spectator sports go.
Dude,
You've
if
got
we
to
can
get there.
get it done for ADCC, I'm going to fucking cry. This show is in Vegas. And we have our own sports book like there, and they're still like, well, we don't know, so it's something me and Mo are going to be working on like big time for ADCC, because I mean that, like, if you could bet, say for instance, if you could have parlayed Ty Ruotolo, who's some other ones, Karina Santi and Bianca Basilio, right? Like the odds of the 3 of them, you would have fucking killed it.
You would have won
Only
$1 million.
someone that's super in the know. Like I picked the 66 kilos, 77, 88. I picked all of the winners except for Kynan. I guessed right on all of them except Kynan and Bianca. I thought Bia would win, and I thought Buchecha would win. But everyone else I got right. You know what I mean? And it's like, I know these guys pretty well. You know, I got almost at Lucas Lepre going out fucked up my thing, but like if it would have been like a tournament bracket, I would like a March Madness, I would have done pretty well. So that's another way that I'm thinking about going, is doing like a March Madness type thing with the ADCC stuff. But anything like that, like big gambling stuff I'm working on, it's all geared towards ADCC. And if I can get it done before that, great. But I have to get it done for ADCC.
Yeah. Keep me in mind. Keep me in mind.
$1 million on Gordon Ryan. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah.
Someone's got to bet $1 million.
Somebody's going to do
it himself. He's a fucking millionaire. He could bet $1 million on himself, and I'll bet you will.
And he'll be minus 500.
$1 million that Gordon Ryan will bet $1 million on himself to win, and he'll probably only win like $1,000 because he's going to be like 100-1 favorite. You know?
Yeah. Well, that would be awesome, Seth. Keep me in mind, because I would love to help you set the lines. Anyway.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest problems that they have, is that they like, well, maybe it's with me because I'm so biased, but like the lines that's going to be another problem, is setting lines is going to be a problem, because you got to have somebody that's impartial, you know. And I don't know, I might just set my own one up. Fuck it, you know.
Set your own betting site up.
Yeah, I tried that before. I tried that 4 years ago.
I can imagine the legislation that you have to go through.
Dude, when I first signed on with my lawyer, it was the first idea I had. And then Wagner kicked AJ off the stage, and everything changed. It was like, no, you're going to worry about having insurance and preventing stuff like this from happening. Fuck your gambling ideas. Fuck selling drugs at your show. I had all these cool ideas.
I had no idea that you had these thoughts, because I thought I was
I've been working on it. I've been working on gambling stuff for 4 years for grappling, and it's got to make perfect sense for me to do it, because if anything goes wrong or somebody was to throw something, it would jeopardize everything.
So in response to your lawyer, Seth, I guess your response would be, so that's a no for now. No for now, right?
Well, I mean, nothing's ever a no. We'll see what we can do, you know.
Right.
I mean,
we'll wait for ADCC.
Yeah.
ADCC, right. I would say 95% chance I'll get it done in time. We're going back out in July. We're going, and we have a couple of meetings with a couple of different sports books, and it's weird, man, because it's like you can't just like be like, oh, I want my event on sportsbook. Like, it doesn't work like that. So I've got to sell it to MGM, right? Say I sell it to MGM. Once they have it, other sports books can decide if they want to get in on it too. Yeah. So I just got to sell it to one. Yeah. You know, and unfortunately, we're not doing the event at a casino, so that kind of screws me. Because if we would have done it at MGM, I think we would have been able to get everything lined up. But I didn't have $500,000 to spend on a venue, so especially with the amount of money I spent on production for this already and the musical act and all that. So we kind of ran out of money pretty quick. So yeah, especially if we're not going to be able to sell tickets. So that's the other thing, though. The event is definitely happening, and even if we can't sell tickets, ADCC 100% is going to happen.
Definitely happening.
Nothing's changing. Cash prize.
September 24th.
Everything, yeah. Everything will happen for ADCC. Might have to make some adjustments with the invites, and there might not be fans, but the event will happen. If it's one of those things where COVID comes back and everybody's dying again, and we have to do one division a day or something, you know, like it's happening. 100%. Right. We don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah.
So,
please, God.
Fight Island, I guess.
No COVID. Yeah. Well, Seth, thank you. Anything else, Jim?
Hey, well, on behalf of the yeah. So I was going to say, on behalf of the jiu-jitsu community, I would like to thank you for being so bulldoggish and getting these events going, because I think culturally speaking, I mean, you're one of the few shows. I mean, you, MMA, and a couple other shows along with Chael and the Submission Underground. The idea of putting on these events goes to the core belief of the show must go on.
Well, I feel the way I felt about it from day one was like my Facebook during quarantine was just filled with negativity and bullshit and people blaming this person and blaming this president and blaming that guy. And blaming the doctors and everything's a lie and all these conspiracies. And like, I felt like once we started promoting jiu-jitsu, I started seeing more positive posts about jiu-jitsu and people training jiu-jitsu and people working out and getting back to shape. Because I need the shit. It's just as much for me as it is for anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a selfish motherfucker and I love doing this shit. You know what I mean? There's nothing more I love, you know, I mean, besides watching my kid play football than throwing parties, you know, and watching people go out there and have their 15 minutes. You know, I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
You know,
So
that's what I get off on. So
and it's I think, you know, for selfish reasons, whatever the reasons, I feel you're doing the community a service, no matter what people think about you. The fact that jiu-jitsu,
just kidding.
but jiu-jitsu is on the stage right now. You know, you are carrying the flag that represents a community and one of the few sports activities that are doing it. And for that, very appreciative. Thank you for taking the time to talking with us. Man, we got to do this again, man. It's great talking to you.
Yeah, it was fun. Man. It was good, man. I like talking to you guys. You didn't ask me the same stupid fucking questions that everybody else does.
I tried to tell Jim this, but he
nice,
shot a couple
dude.
ideas down.
But
anyway,
I'm so tired of answering the same questions. I always answer the same questions on every single fucking podcast. But you guys asked me a bunch of really good, intelligent shit. I really appreciate it. Thanks for doing
excellent. Thank you, Seth. Thank you, Seth. The Dana White of jiu-jitsu.
Shit, I wish. I'll take Shane McMahon at this point.
Shane McMahon.
I need to see my hair, dog. I ain't trying to go Dana. This Jewish face ain't gonna work bald, so you know we're gonna do what we gotta do.
All right, so after one of these next shows, we'll call, we'll recap, we'll catch up, brother.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thanks,
All right,
Seth.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Good one.